I've left this not unturned for a while, so I say we finally explain. Hello, my name is Gallade, and welcome back to the Owl Fight Club. I told you we would be here for Season 9, and now we are. We're still in Paldeadex format, with all the new but things have expanded, mainly introducing things like Cinderace, Greninja, and Charizard. Still no sign of, Walking Wake and the Iron Leaves, but hey, it's fine, we don't need them. And we have some power on our side, including an extra special something, and the reason why I've been leaving out the face cam for a little bit now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into our first pick. We need the power. We can't get Chiyu, and we have to fight a full power Houndstone later in the season. So naturally, I picked something else that's extremely powerful, Meowscarada. Now, Meowscarada, it does everything it needed to. It has the protein, it has the insane coverage, and even post-nerf, Meowscarada is very deadly, especially with that 123 speed, and very good coverage. It's not quite Greninja levels of coverage, but it's still very strong, and very versatile. It does exactly what you need it to. Not to mention, it having knockoff is much more of a boon in Gen 9 than it was in Gen 8, due to how limited in scope knockoff coverage actually is. And that just, in general, that's everything it needs to be useful, including potential T-Spike setting, which is very interesting. Next up, our second pick, the Iron Treads. Now, Iron Treads, first of all, Brendan, shut. If you know, you know. But secondly, Iron Treads mainly is here to fill up the speed tiers between 123 and 106. It's a bit awkward, but it does get the job done, and it means our opponents can't run Adamant on something with 115. Or Modest. Not only that, this is our other habit setter in both Stealth Rocking and one of the few Rapid Spinners available in the tier, because with the shift to Gen 9 and pre-home anyway, Hazard removal is actually a pretty sparse. In fact, most teams only have 1 or 2 removers in total. So it's a pretty hard thing to come by. Other than that, thing hits like an absolute truck, and with Quirk Drive, we could turn this thing into a potential sweeper should the situation call for it. Next up, so I know I want to put Salamence on the Shadow Gallade Council, the Round Table, the Hall of Fame, if you will, but he hasn't been earning his keep. He's kind of just been slacking around, riding the high of PMC, and I'm sick of it. So Salamence, you're off the Shadowverse. We'll put you back on when you earn your keep this season. Let's talk about what it does do. First of all, Intimidate, very useful defensive utility. Its coverage is insane, whether it be physical or special, and Moxie turns it into a veritable god of destruction. It did put in work during BBL, but not enough to where I could comfortably say he's part of the Shadowverse. So Salamence, if you don't pull your weight, then on God, I'm revoking you from this council. But other than that, it is power, and Salamence is going to earn her keep today. Okay, I'm gonna rush through Salamance's entry because we have something special. Picks 4, 5, 8, and 12. I got all of us on the team. Geraldo, Future Thriller, Present Thriller, and myself, and what is that Gallade sprite? I told you I had something special. Introducing PNG-tuber Shadow. I'll show you more when we get to the next slide. But for now, let's go over the individual mons. So first, Thriller, you saw what he did last season. He was a monster. Well, Thriller wasn't here last season, but he could do the exact same thing. Terra Jolteon is a monster on the battlefield, being able to adapt its coverage to any situation it could possibly need, and hit decently hard, especially with Calm Mind. Now, unfortunately, a 12-mon format means that Jolteon will have a harder time sweeping, but on the flip side, our opponents are going to have a harder time prepping for it since they have to prep for everything else. Next up, Geraldo's Bane gets returned from BBL. It fills out our fire type for the Firewater Grass Core. It has nice speed tier at 85. And it is a very deadly sweeper in its own right, especially if it can successfully pull off a Soy Stance plus weak armor combo. Not to mention, the lack of knockoff distribution really helps it defensively in tanking Rapid Spins, which there will be more of than in Gen 8, ironically. But let's get into what I'm really excited to show off. Myself, what I can do. I bring Sharpness. A Sharpness Spirited Sacred Sword. It cuts through everything. It is insanely powerful. And even if I can't get the job done, I'm one of the Terra captains. I've partnered up with Future Thriller, and we can Terra fighting to get a Sacred Sword boost, Terra Psychic for a Psychic Cut boost, and pretty much anything this thing can do. Sword Stance means it one-shots just about everything, even resist with a well-played Sacred Sword. And overall, it is monstrous. I am looking forward to putting myself on the battlefield to fight alongside the rest of the family. And the day all three of us are on the battlefield together is going to be a great day. Now then, our next pick... Hey, wait a minute, I'm still here. Oh, well, I'll keep talking. So Mimikyu is something I like. Because for the longest time, before I started the channel, I had a policy of always drafting some kind of panic button, always one Magic Guard user a team. And, well, considering we have things like Chiyu and Roaring Moon running around, I think it's justified to have the panic button back. As what it does in its own right, obviously 96 is a very useful speed tier, not as useful with regular Mensa around, but still very good. And its disguise means, again, it is our Shadow Gallade mandated panic button. Other than that, it's a very useful utility in things like Trick and Will-O-Wisp, again, much rarer in the days of Gen 9 than it was in Gen 8. And it still hits decently hard, even with its base 90 attack. I'm looking forward to using this thing. Next up, this piece of shit. I think, look at the purpose. It looks down and watch, are you dead yet? That fits exactly perfectly, because my god, this thing refuses to die. It pisses me off to no end, I tell you. But that's what it does. Unfortunately, it lost some of its utility from Gen 8. No more teleport, no more counter, no more toxic. So Blissey is much more passive, and sadly we cannot be able to cheese kills like we could with Chansey in Gen 8. But that's fine. This thing is supposed to be our defensive backbone, especially. And should we deal with a fighting type, that's fine. We have Mimikyu, myself, Geraldo, Salamence. We're well covered against fighting types. Not only that, it is one of our hazard setters, again a much rarer commodity these days, and we can still Wish Pass if we so desire, which will be insanely useful. Also, we have to fight a Chiyu later in the season, and I want Blissey for that now, immediately. Speaking of walls, here's one I'm more excited to use. Specifically, Blue Gastrodon. Now, Gastrodon's the same it's always been. However, first of all, the half PP on Recover sucks, as it hurts it immensely. But it gets some hazards to play around with, and things like Spikes, Stealth Rocks, and T-Spikes. And it is very useful for supporting the team in that regard. Not only that, Water Ground is an excellent defensive typing, allowing it to take many hits, as well as deal a massive amount of damage. It can't quite thread Skull Burns, but it's still very good for that. Not good for that, but in general, it's bulky. I can say stuff. Also, water immunity, very nice since we don't have a good defensive grass type, since Meowscarada is not exactly a tank, and Salamence is more meant to do the heavy lifting offensively, although Mence could play defensively. Next up, we're going to bring someone back from DDL and a potential member of the Shadowverse Council, Roundtable, whatever, Tinkaton. Tinkaton, I mentioned this in the DDL bit, and let's say it again. Very nice distribution of moves that not many commons get. Thunder Wave, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Fake Out. Very rare combination these days, and Steel Fairy is an excellent defensive typing. Sure, being weak to Earthquake sucks, but we have ways to deal with Earthquake users. And overall, I'm gonna keep talking so I can have more excuses to play Gigaton Hammer footage. But anyway, yeah. Overall, very useful, and should Sing want to sweep, 94 is a surprisingly useful speed tier to do it with its hammer that's bigger than its entire body. And finally, Glaceon. Now, I could go into reasons why it's good, like, oh, it beats Roaring Moon one-on-one, did you know that? I wish I could forget. But I'm just gonna be honest with you. I just wanted Glaceon on the team. I wanted to give the running joke of, oh, I cheated with 3 evolutions, yup. So I took Glaceon. But jokes aside, Ice-type offense is very good. Freeze Dry is always useful on it. It does have Calm Mind like Jolteon, so if we really wanted to Trailblaze in Calm Mind, it could do something. Plus, it is surprisingly good physically, offensively. And it has some very good uses overall. It's not going to be a mainstay of the team, and honestly, it's not really a serious pick. I just did it for the sake of wanting to draft a Glaceon. But it's going to be useful, and she will prove herself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using this team. Glaceon, Tinkaton, Gastrodon, Blue, Blissey. Mimikyu, Geraldo, Future Thriller, Present Thriller, myself, Crescent, Iron Treads, and Meowscarada, the Ultimate Magician. I'm looking forward to using this team. It has its problems, it's not perfect, but we have myself on the mic, and in the video now. No need for a face cam, you see the true Shadow Gallade as he was always meant to be seen. See you guys week 1. Bye-bye!